is a presentation of the iRacing Esports Network.
Welcome to the Roval for the Spec Racer Ford vRunoffs here on the iRacing Esports Network, and brought to you by GSRC. And hey, great weekend of racing, week 13 starting to come to a close, and of course it wouldn't be a week 13 if we didn't have a vRunoffs SRF big field race. Of course, always as per usual, brought to you by the Weekend Warrior Series. Going to put on a great show out there here for today. Adam Young here with you today, joined by Stefan Schlacker and Sean Ambrose in the director's booth. Dougie Beard, of course, all the cameras you see here on GSRC provided by the great Dougie Beard. And Stefan, the Roval new to the series as far as the new redesigned layout and everything else. We've got it here now on iRacing, and it looks like, this is going to be a challenging track for these cars. I mean, we're seeing a lot of guys having some difficulties with the transitions and the chicanes and everything else. What are your thoughts here on this Roval here today?
Well, we all know the story of Charlotte. Breaking ground in 1959, opening 1960, then nearly going bankrupt because of some damn stones in the middle of the racetrack. But hey, as you said, we're here to talk about the new Charlotte Roval, the Bank of America Roval 400 as it's officially called. 17 turns, which is quite interesting because this track has 19 and they counted 17 of them, so kudos to NASCAR there. The layout itself, pretty much it's the same layout as the old Roval, just turn 1 is a bit, I think about 100 feet or something like that further up the road than it used to be. Down the road that used to be, and obviously we have the 2 chicanes before start finish and on the back stretch. But hey, there's no better way to show you how this track really is than our GSRC lap guide.
Alright, we're in the GSRC SRF, so let's do a lap around Charlotte. Down in a heartburn turn, there's not as much braking as you'd expect, but the big danger here is both the big blue curb on the inside and getting snap oversteer at any point. The wall on the outside is ready to collect you if you overcorrect. From there, you can keep your foot in it all the way around 2, but you'll have to quickly swing it across the track to set up for 3. It's very difficult to find a fast way through this corner because it effectively creates one long arc into 4. You might notice you can take some liberties with those blue lines as they don't indicate the track limits. You're allowed to run it all the way out to the grass. 5 can be taken flat out, but you want to keep the car stable since you'll be braking right away for 6. The combination of the crest and the concrete wall at the apex make this a very blind corner, but it quickly switches back into 7, where once again the flow of the track makes it tough to find the fastest line. This is especially critical because 8 dumps you back onto the oval, which means it's probably more important to focus on setting up the exit than coming into the corner very hot. Now we finally get a moment to relax as you bring the car down to the bottom of the banking and make sure you hit nice clean shifts. But be prepared to thread the needle because up next is the backstretch chicane. This is going to be a little bit of Russian roulette because the bumps and the curbs can create unpredictable behaviors for the car and send you spinning in a flash. Often, this ends with a trip to the wall. But as you can see, the temptation is going to be great to fly through there as fast as you can because of the way you need to carry your speed in a NASCAR 3 and 4. And that brings us to the final chicane, which is one of the few heavy braking zones on this course. Expect a lot of desperate pass attempts here. Don't get greedy on the curbs, straighten it out, and hopefully you've now finished a lap around Charlotte.
And that was a lap around the Roval here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And, well, as we've been mentioning, new layout here on iRacing and everything else. It's a great thing about Week 13. We get to play with the new toys that are out there here in iRacing. So what about the race today? Of course, hey, you might have seen some of these vRunoffs before, and it's pretty much the same style that we've seen before. The setups, they're open, and we are running restricted fuel. We do want to force a pit stop here for today, and it will be a 40-minute race. It is one stop with that restricted fuel. And there will be one fast repair. And Stefan, from what I'm seeing here so far today, I think that fast repair could play a very crucial role in how this race is going to progress.
Yeah, obviously you have those strange corners where you're braking and turning, and this car really doesn't like that. And with the walls being this close to the racetrack, something is bound to be happening. So it's good that we have that fast repair, but let's hope that nobody has to use it.
You know, and looking at some of the curbs and everything else, another thing, Stefan, you brought up, you know, the condition of the track. I'm hearing from a lot of the guys that are running the SRF here today that the sausage curbs, the very large curbs at the chicane, if you even as much as touch some of those, it very well could be the end of your day if you're not ready for it. Is that kind of what you're hearing and seeing?
Yeah, it's the problem of the SRF. It's so aero dependent that if that aero platform gets screwed up because of a big bump, or in this case a sausage curb, it is going to get out of control very quickly. Even though it's a slow car, it can go very quickly on you in that particular situation there. So people have to be careful about those sausage curbs, especially in the chicanes, because you come in with so much speed, like the back chicane. You really have to be careful there, because you don't need a lot of braking, / you actually don't need to brake just a big lift through that chicane in the SRF. But if you take it wrong, you're gonna run aground on those sausage curbs and your day will be done.
And we are in the qualifying session right now, and you're looking at Jonathan Matters, kind of following him along there, the very wide view. I believe that would be from the front grandstand. And now we're going to ride on board with him here as he goes through NASCAR 3 and 4. And sitting, as mentioned, third on the grid, running at about a minute 25.767. So far, the leader of the qualifying session, it has been vRunoffs. I'm not sure if he's actually out on the racetrack here at the moment, trying to find him. Yeah, let's go ahead and roll over to vRunoffs and see what time he put down earlier on. Well, there you go. Fastest lap, a minute 25.416. So, seeing a pretty wide gap amongst, it looks to be about the top 10 here, going back almost a little bit over 2 seconds, actually. So, be looking for them to try to take advantage of that. But, of course, Stefan, you know, we're at a Roval. We're going to keep bringing that up. I mean, that's just the style of racetrack it is. How big of a role is the draft going to play in these Spec Racer Fords here today? And is that going to be the great equalizer in some of these lap times?
The draft is quite big here, because you have that long gap here through, as we are right now here, turns 1 and 2 of NASCAR Oval here. And then, as said, the chicane isn't really a speed breaker, so you will have that draft continuing to play with you. And then obviously we're going once again through NASCAR 3 and 4, so that, as we see vRunoffs, they're going very hard over the sausage curbs. Luckily he didn't even break his sweater over those. But yeah, once again you can see vRunoffs going past his teammate of Jonathan Madden. And yeah, that's gonna be quite a lot of the play here in the top 5-6 positions for the race.
Well, of course, vRunoffs, we've seen him all the time on GSRC. I don't think the guy has sweat glands to break a sweat. He's always so calm, cool, and collected. And showing that here in the Spec Racer Ford. Now, Stefan, you brought up an interesting point too, as far as the aero damage possibility and things like that. You have a little bit more experience in the Spec Racer Ford, and on that backstretch chicane where you only have to lift, are you going to want to be separated from the car in front of you a little bit? Or are you going to want that air coming across your front end to get what little bit of front end downforce that you can to try to go through there? Or are you going to be okay to be tucked up right underneath the car in front?
I think it depends a whole lot on what the car in front of you does through that chicane. As Jonathan Madden there hits the wall a little bit. They're still trading back and forth. They're probably practicing some racing there between vRunoffs and Jonathan Madden. But yeah, it really depends on what the car in front of you does. Does he brake, or is he just lifting? Because it does have a big effect on what the car does in front of you. Maybe it slides a little bit, maybe it doesn't, maybe it's really planted because it just lifts a little bit. So it will be interesting air platform wise. I don't really know how the effect will be on the car behind, because quite frankly we don't have a chicane like this on any other track, so it will be interesting to see what will happen with it, if anything even happens.
Well, and something worth noting, Wyatt Gooden has set a new fastest lap for the session. So give him the provisional pole here so far. We do have 5 minutes left on the clock for qualifying. So we'll see if vRunoffs is able to edge back out in front of Wyatt Gooden. Of course, Wyatt Gooden from Texas. And but set a 25.344. So that's about math not being the strong suit sometimes on the fly, about 7 hundredths of a second faster than what vRunoffs has been able to do so far. And Jonathan Madden is a good 0.3 of a second behind those guys. So this race is on, I think, for the pole here between Wyatt Gooden and vRunoffs. It's just going to be a question of who's going to be able to be the fastest right at the end of the session. Maybe even who has the fastest last lap.
Yeah, vRunoffs, he is already known to pretty much all of us here. Even to probably newcomers of this series, that vRunoffs is not the qualifier. He is really fast. Don't mix that up. But his qualifying pace, it's always lacking a little bit. As of right now, it's lacking about half a tenth. That's vRunoffs qualifying. He isn't, as he said himself, he's not the best qualifier, but he is always still up there. So vRunoffs, it will be interesting, but honestly, I'm not expecting him to go first.
And that wouldn't be surprising, as you mentioned. I mean, we've seen it before, and he's also a master of pit stop strategy too. So that's for sure something that we'll see here today when those pit stops decide they want to go ahead and start. So.
We see Alejandro Liero right now. He is not really up there as of right now. Last lap at 28.2. That's a second slower than his fastest lap so far. And Liero, he is normally a bit higher up there, but him being 2 seconds down, that's normally not his pace. So it will be interesting to see if he can pick up his pace.
All right, so let's go take a look at that weather. And here today, it's not terrible out there. Considering the fact we're in December, 67 degrees on the track. As far as the air temperature, 68 degrees, the actual surface temperature. Lots of clouds out there, including the shade. That wind out of the northeast at 14 miles an hour. Anytime in iRacing, when I see that wind above 10 miles an hour, I've got to think that it's going to be moving those cars around quite a bit. So that'll be something to watch out for, and maybe part of the reason why we're seeing some of these cars get a little bit loose in certain portions of the track. So we'll keep an eye on that here as the race goes along. Just looking here, we've got about 2 minutes left in qualifying. Wyatt Gooden still on the provisional pole. vRunoffs still sitting in second. Jonathan Madden in third. As we're looking at Ade Coba Lopez here, the Iberian. And right now, his best lap has been 1:26.487. So he's sitting fifth on the grid here so far. And he really only needs to pick up a couple of tenths, and maybe he can get up to Kane Halliburton in fourth position and move up on that, move up to the second row as opposed to the third row.
Yeah, and one thing that we see here already, I think you mentioned this before, we are having here quite a big gap already, because our top 10 are separated by 2 seconds. And that's also normally not something we see in the weekend warriors, as Ade Koba spins it here out of the backstart chicane. But yeah, it just shows this track, even though it's kind of like an old layout that everyone knows, it's still new. And it shows right here with 2 seconds between the top 10 drivers.
So, qualifying, Stefan, it's probably going to be pretty important today. Big grid out there. I mean, we've got, let's see, 49, 50, 51 drivers in the server and ready to go for action here for today. So you want to get that top quality. You want to be in the top 10, I think, here today, because traffic is going to be nuts in the middle part of this field.
Traffic will be nuts, as you said, and yeah, you want to be up there. So it really would be a race for me, as I am very terrible at qualifying. So yeah, I'm quite lucky that I'm sitting in the booth, in the warm booth, and not in the race car.
Well, here we go. Last few seconds of qualifying. Last chance to go ahead and try to put down anything on the grid. Euro Dumb is sitting on pit road, so he will not improve his time. Wyatt Gooden's out there. Looking at Steve Ray. Steve Ray sitting in 18th. He's coming around NASCAR 3 and 4. We get a good idea here as he comes off the banking, hits that last chicane, coming to the start-finish line, so he can be able to do anything in addition to his time. I think he's going to come up short, actually by about a second there, maybe almost a second and a half of improving his time. But so Steve Ray is going to sit back there in 18th position. Looking around to see if anybody has a good chance here in improving their time. And it looks like Marcelev Jurijic is going to go ahead and stay off. He pulls off. And I think that's going to go ahead and set us up for the end of qualifying. As everybody's got down the times, I think they're going to go ahead and get down. So with that, we've got a big grid here today, folks. And as soon as the rest of the cars pull off the track, we're going to go ahead and give you that starting grid. We've still got a few guys out here trying to see if they are actually setting times. One of those Neil Camp and Andres Bertroni. And got a couple guys on the backstretch as well. Fred Nunez is out there. He actually just got passed by Tenio Reese. And looking here, we got about countdowns coming down, so these guys are pretty much on their last leg here. Neil Camp, I think, is the best one that has a chance to do anything, although Andres Bertroni hasn't had a chance to actually put down any time here yet, so he's getting ready to come across the line. Question, I think, for him is going to be, is he going to be able to do it before the clock runs out? He's going to go ahead and come down pit road along with Neil Camp. They will not actually set times. Everybody else coming to a stop. I think we're safe to go ahead and show you that grid here for today's race. So we'll go 10 by 10 here, Stefan, and looking at row number 1, we got Wyatt Gooden sitting in the pole position. Euro Num will be alongside him. Row 2 is going to go to Jonathan Madden. Kane Halliburton in 4th position today. Cope Lopez in a minute 26.487 is going to be the inside of row 3. Outside of row 3, Hendrik Lindoff. Niels Sitkowski in row 4. Alongside him will be Jens Nordstrom, Alejandro Liro, and Carter Kninger in 10th position.
Miroslav Juricek is your 11th position driver. Fred Desai running right beside him in row 6. Jason Perry 13th. Rob Fierce 14th. Gary McAreevy 15th. He's normally a guy we see in the top at least 5 running in the Weekend Warriors. A bit strange seeing him in 15th. Donald Fitterer 16th. Adam Bradshaw 17th. Another guy normally in the top 5 or so. Steve Elson 18th. Steve Ray 19th. And Raul Elvis in 20th.
And in 21st, we'll have Daniel Sadro. Alongside him will be Alan Chapman in 22nd. 23rd is going to go to Ross Nicholson and Francisco Bernardo. In 24th, Claudio Ferrari and Neil Kemp are going to make up row 13. Row 14 is going to go Chris Mercape and Manning Britton in 28th. And Clark Williams in 29th position. Alongside him will be Gil LeBlanc in 30th position.
Preston Pardos in 31st, Francois von Donneval in 32nd, Wayne Palmer 33rd, 34th, Samuel Drayman, GSRC's own Samuel Ryman it is, Jeff Cantor 35th, Antonio Rice 36th, Ian Wilson 37th, Paul Gordon 38th, Edgar Sancinelli in 39th, and your top 40 is Renan Lever.
Alrighty, and in 41st, Lewis Emerton. 42nd is be Don Brooks. Mark Grehan in 43rd. 41st going to belong to James King. James just got done running the Camel GT, he just got done running 90 minutes down there in Sebring. Nunez, Fred Nunez in 45th position, Matt Sablom in 46th, Jeffrey Hamiak in 47th, and Jos Smets in 48th, Michael Shaw 49th, and Andreas Bertoni in 50th position. In starting shotgun on the field, you will find Richard Valle. So that is 51 Spec Racer Fords, and there's so many cars to find that it's taken a while for them to roll out here, but we will have this pace lap. It is well underway. They're starting to form up here as they go through the infield portion of the track behind that roof pace car, and before too long we're going to get going here. So what are you expecting? Like, what is going to be the key, Stefan, in the first 10 laps of this race that you're going to need to do to give yourself a chance? And I'm going to read your mind. I'm going to say that if you're in the middle part of the pack, it has something to do with traffic.
It's quite simple. It's kind of like those little motorcycle races that you see like Moto3 or something like that. It's the catchphrase here is catch the train. That means stay with the front pack that will eventually couple themselves off everyone else. Catch the train and you're gonna have a shot on the win, or at least top 5, depending on how big that train is going to be. But yeah, catch that and you're gonna be good. If you're in the mix of this 50 car field, Michael Shaw will not start this race. Then you will have to be very careful about where you are, where your opponents are, and what are they doing, because if you lose track of them, something might happen to you.
Well, here we go. We are looking right now at that roof pace car in the front row belonging to Wyatt Gooden and Hero Numb again, heading down the back straightaway here in Charlotte. They're going to hit that chicane, and this chicane, we've seen it in numerous races here so far. Going through here is very likely going to be a single file train. As double file has been getting some guys into trouble. So be looking for that. Once we get past the first lap, I'm expecting that first lap we're just going to have to make do with what you got. But now rounding our way through NASCAR 3 and 4, the Spec Racer 4 is getting ready to turn up the engines and get going here. Just waiting for that roof pace car to pull off. As there, it's getting ready to go. It's a short, shallow pit road entry. You'll see the pace car take that. Wyatt Gooden now waiting on that green flag. He approaches the chicane. Hits the slow part. Green flag is out. Wyatt Gooden is on the hammer. He is away. He's going to get a good jump over top of Hero Numb. Hero Numb falling back just a little bit. Wyatt Gooden has a great run there going down into turn 1. Hero Numb behind him. He's going to go ahead and clear a day. Coba Lopez with a great start. He's going to move up from 4th to 3rd. He's getting around Jonathan Madden. They're going single file from about 4th on forward, but once you get to 5th on back, that's when it gets a little bit more exciting. Kane Halliburton back there, Hendrik Blindoff. And looking through the field, you got guys riding side by side, Stefan, but I think everybody got through the first couple of corners here so far.
Yes, so far, so no damage, as some would say. But yeah, we're seeing some pretty wide there between some people in the midfield. That's about 430th there or thereabouts. And that is only halfway through this field. So yeah, everyone is sorting themselves out. Now we go to the very wide part of this racetrack. 3, 4, 5 wide possible here. But they have to get sorted again for the chicane.
So looking back up to the front right now, one of the closest battles we got in front, we can go back for 10th and 11th. Miroslav Jurek back there. These are guys, they're going to go ahead and go side by side, going through the chicane. He's going to go ahead and edge out here. I think that will end up being for 11th position. And he's got Fred Desai right on his back wing. And he is right back there, and it looks like Carter Cunningham getting a nice run on the outside going through NASCAR 3 and 4. He's going to go ahead and get onto the front stretch chicane here, and that is Jason Perry back there in that Spider-Man painted up machine. Oh, it looks like it's that Miroslav gets a little loose coming out of the chicane. Anna Bradshaw's going to go ahead and take advantage of that. He's going to go ahead and take the position away from him. It gets pretty exciting here from 10th on back here.
Yes, and just to update you there, Jason Perry.
We got Kane Halliburton in the wall. first casualty in the top 5 of the field here. Trying to get it pulled up on the GSRC replay. Trying to find somebody got into him after he got into the wall. Oh, it's the 40 machine of no, it was car 40. Nils Santowski got into him. So there's 2 top 10 cars involved in that hard contact.
Yeah, quite a bit of an interesting incident there from Nils, as he was running way too wide there. But yeah.
And heading back up to the front, as it is a 3-car breakaway here so far. Wyatt Gooden up there. And you saw Antonio Reese on, that's just because he took a tow, so he was briefly on top of the leaderboard with the way the timing and scoring works. But no, Wyatt Gooden is in the lead. Aaron Num is in second, and then Ade Coba Lopez. They are your top 3 right now, and they're breaking away, starting to pull away from Jonathan Madden in 4th position. So there's your train.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I honestly thought that this train will develop a little bit later, but already 3rd lap, we're in 3rd lap right now. This train developed way earlier and is way smaller than I thought it will be. Obviously, Aeronome, his teammate Jonathan Madden, he really missed out on this train. He's not yet off the train, but he really has to run right now to stay on this train. Let's see if he catches it or not.
So we are looking now. Jason Perry, Carter Kundinger, that battle is continuing on. We were on it a few minutes ago. Coming back to us, it's heating up again, going through NASCAR 1 and 2, heading toward the back straightaway. And Jason is doing everything he can to try to keep Carter behind him. Carter has a great run. And don't forget, you got Fred Say back there also in that train in the draft. Oh, Jason Perry hits that curve. He's going to have the back end break around on him. He doesn't hit anything, so he still has a clean car. As somebody does that behind him, that's Alan Chapman doing the same thing behind him in the Team Bushfink machine. So already that becoming a trouble area.
Yeah, it seems like either take this curve full or don't take it at all. As that is the 4th spin we've seen right there. Kane Halliburton now also deciding to retire his car behind the pit wall. So that's only 3 cars gone for this race.
Yeah, Alan Chapman after his spin decided to go ahead and call it a day as well. So there we go. That's Jason Perry with that, falls from 10th to 23rd position as somebody is off on the infield here. Edgar Sancinelli off on the infield. So going back up to P10, and that is looking at, once again, Fred Say and Desai and Miroslav also up there in 10th and 11th position. So that battle does continue on, though, this time without Jason Perry. Is with his spin, he has fallen way back. So looking elsewhere for battles here on the racetrack. It seems like most now that everybody's kind of gotten into the groove, they're making a little more calculated decisions. Going to a replay now. Apparently Chris McCormick ended up having a little bit of trouble just a moment ago.
Oh! Miroslav Juricek and Adam Bradshaw both spin very hard on the backstretch chicane as we're on the replay here with Chris Murakami, as he takes the big hump on the inside there and probably hits the wall. No, he just spins out onto the banking.
Yeah, able to keep it off, and the Miroslav and Adam Bradshaw, instead they're spinning out at 10th and 11th. Well, it was almost just a synchronized spinning, if you will. They both hit the same exact curve.
Carter Condinger, he's right now spun in turn 1, as you're able to see there on your screen.
Things are a hopping here at the vRunoffs, at the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway. So trying to get it all, may not be able to get back to that, and that's okay. So, okay, we do have the Adam Bradshaw incident here, so let's go ahead and go take a look at that here real quick and get a good idea what happened to Miroslav and Adam Bradshaw. So what you'll see is they'll go through that chicane, and Miroslav's back end comes around, and then Adam's back end comes around. So no contact on both of their spins.
Sorry. Adam really lucky there to not lose his car into a roll, but he's able to continue. He's back now in with Miroslav, and also Jason Perry is back here running with him side by side into the chicane. They go. Was that a hit behind there?
And Jason getting on the radio apologizing to Adam.
Must have been a bit of a netcode there. I heard the contact, but I didn't see any between them.
And then they're coming up on Steven Elson, who, Adam Brachow's in the wall hard. Pancake the right side of that Spec Racer Ford. He's got significant damage now. The question's going to be, did he get into the suspension, or is that all just body work? Even then, Stefan, with this aerodynamic dependence as track is, you do not want to have that kind of damage on that car.
No, that's the bit of the thing with this car. It's a fiberglass chassis, so if you do damage, it's gonna affect your hand. It's gonna affect your aerodynamics really badly. But the suspension, it's quite good. It can take hits like that. So Adam Bradshaw probably still good with his handling of the car. Just he's gonna be really slow on the straights.
We'd be remiss if we still didn't mention up front right now. You still have Weidgooden in first in all that action. Ade Coben-Lopez was able to get around and able to get around Euro Num, so he moved him up to second and Euro Num in third. That's not uncommon for Euro. Just kind of hang back in the back part of the lead pack and just kind of let things happen. But go back to Jonathan Madden in fourth position, and at some point here in the last little bit, he has picked up some pretty good right side damage on his car, and it actually looks pretty similar to what we saw with Bradshaw there as far as the style of damage, so maybe making some contact with that wall. So he's still holding on to fourth, though, and still running respectable lap times compared to your leaders. All right, Ade Coben-Lopez. Ade's looking a little hungry up here in second, Stefan. He just took a peek on Weidgooden for the lead, but slips back into the slipstream. I think maybe Ade Coben-Lopez here might try to make a run for the lead.
He is looking very racy behind Weidgooden, probably feeling a little bit held up behind him as they both go through the chicane there. Obviously, Aeronautic, he is hanging back there, and he's always kind of your sleeper in the top pack in the first part of the race, sleeping in behind, saving some fuel, trying or deciding on what he should do with his strategy.
Going back to 7 here, and it kind of fell off just a little bit. Looking at Alejandro Liro, who I think may have had a problem here at some point because he lost a spot this lap, and the person in front of him was way up there. Going back here, trying to find it. We got to mention this. I just found what happened. Jens Nordstrom spun out of 6th position going into turn 1 on that last lap. So that is 2 top 10 cars that ended up having a problem as he had to take evasive action. That's why he lost a spot there. So we won't be able to show you that, but that is an incident that does affect 2 top 10 cars right there, as things still very much in flux here at Charlotte.
Alright, that does explain why he did apologize in chat. Meanwhile, we are here focusing on the battle for P12. That's between Francesco Bernardo and Steven Elson. We have to say we're a bit sorry here for jumping you around this much right now, but there's just so many cars and so much action, and we all try to cover here a little bit for you throughout this field as they go side by side here for P12, and Steven Elson easily taking P12 away. With all this trading back and forth. Sorry, go ahead.
I would say, and watching this too, Euro Num looks like he's kind of fallen off that lead pack a little bit. I am wondering, though, if that's because he needed to go back there and maybe help his teammate out a little bit as Jonathan Madden's car. I think he might have had another incident because it is now beat up on both the front and the back. So maybe Euro coming back there to maybe try to give him a little bit of aerodynamic support. As now we're riding on board Spider-Man himself, Jason Perry out there. You can see Steven Elson right behind him looking out the back of the car. And he is on the move right now, picking up those. And here in first, maybe Taker on pit road. Steve Ray coming down pit road. He's coming in, I believe he was in 18th position before he started making his way down. So just starting to drop down the leaderboard. And I would assume that with no damage on his car, this is probably his scheduled pit stop. Everybody will have to make at least one pit stop here for today.
Yeah, it's with these cars and how they are set up fuel-wise and all of this, it's pretty much you can pit from, like, let's say lap 2 and you're gonna be good to the end. So we're expecting for people to pit pretty much every single lap. One of them is gonna come in for a scheduled pit stop. So yeah, we're gonna see some battles breaking up, but also getting together because of these different pit stretches.
Alrighty, so also want to give a shout out real quick to what I think is our biggest mover, and he's our biggest mover by a lot. Let's go take a look at James King and see what he's looking at here. James started this race in 44th position, and he has made his way up now to 16th. He actually just lost a spot there. Oh, big accident right front! Oh,
wow!
Seeing a car go upside down, not sure who that was.
That's 2 cars upside down. That's Francesco Bernardo actually being spun around by Mats Sjöblom. And yeah, then a bit of a chain reaction there as James comes to the scene of this accident. Right in front of them you can see as the cars get spun around, and yeah, nowhere to go for the cars following up.
Yeah, him and Claudio Ferrari, I think maybe had a little bit more of a heart attack moment there, but Claudio ultimately got the worst of it up on his lid along with Francisco Bernardo. So there was already some damage on James's car from some of the probably the adventure trying to get up all those spots, but now it's some additional damage, particularly on the right front fender. So that's something that you'll have to watch out for, but still moving up 30 spots.
30 spots, and there's still 13 cars ahead of him as one of the cars spun right there. That is Jens Nordström. He is not a guy for position, but the guy for position next up is Steve Nelson is the next car in row for him. As we're focusing here now on Lewis Emerton versus Chris Murakami. Lewis Emerton, obviously, if you tuned in to the Camel GT 300 kilometers of Sebring, he was in your GTP car of the Nissan ZX Turbo. Quite a bit of a pace change there for both James King and Lewis Emerton.
Now, as we're looking through that right now, I think looking here, apparently Partis having a little bit of a problem. It happened in front of a few cars. He was sitting in 30th position, riding on board him, coming down into the final chicane here before the start-finish line. Let's see what happened to him. I bet he could, I think a little bit of contact there. He ended up being the one that gets the worst part of it, though, but thankfully no damage, although he does look like he's going to take the tow.
That was Wayne Palmer there, and obviously Mr. Partis. Yeah, they both way too fast into the last chicane and going over the big sausage curb.
As our leaders are now making their way down pit road. And Euro Numb actually having to take his fast repair here. He came in with quite a bit of front end damage, but he is away now with a clean car. Looking at Lopez behind him, so Euro Numb is able to go ahead and jump him a little bit there. as they're coming out right around Richard Valley. Richard Valley loses it almost right in front of Euro Numb. Puts it in the wall.
That was a tiny bit of a Cobra moment though for Euro Numb, but obviously seeing leaders, White good, he stayed out.
We're going to go ahead and pull that up here on the GSRC replay machine and see how close that was here for Euro Numb. As it goes into the corner. Car is just, once he gets on the gas, it seems like that's when it wanted to go ahead and break loose on him here. And Euro did have to lift to miss him, but did ultimately miss him, and actually still keeping a day Coba Lopez behind him even now as they make their way down the back straightaway into the fast chicane.
Yeah, that's a bit of a problem here with the Spec Racer Ford, as White Gooden is in the pit lane with quite some damage on his car.
Yeah, I was trying to see what happened here.
Oh, out of the backstretch chicane, he hit the wall really hard on the right side there. I would say about 30 seconds.
Yeah, I want to say it's on his lap 12 is when it happened here. And he's coming down, and I don't think he had made his pit stop yet, so the damage for him might be limited. Oh no, I'm actually thinking maybe he did make his pit stop already. So we are going to go back live here, but White Gooden does have a fresh car. He did have to take his fast repair, so put a cap on that one and see if he's able to remain clean here the rest of the way, as now that fast repair is used up. So that is going to give the lead, at least temporarily, to Jonathan Madden. And Jonathan here has had his own adventures out there here so far today. And I believe he is making it, well, he's coming down the front stretch chicane here now.
The really interesting part there is that being White Good, he cleared Euro Numb and Coba Lopez by, I would say, about 5-6 seconds right now. So really lucky break for him there on this mistake.
We'll have to see what kind of dividends that will play here in a little bit. Is for the most part, it seems like the action has subsided a little bit, but run through you know, the guys that are out there right now. A guy that we have not talked about, I don't think at all here for today, other than mentioning him on the starting grid, Rob Fears, at least during the pit cycle, is sitting in third. Looking at his car, I think he's had a little bit of an adventurous day, but is still out there and still turning laps in one piece. So, well, at least that's how it looks on my screen. It looks like he's had an adventurous day, but there on the replay, on the actual GSRC on your monitor right now, he looks like he has a clean car. So we're going to go with the clean car there. All right, but that 74 Blue Machine is out there just waiting to make his pit stop, but he's up a little bit. I mean, he started this race in 14th, Stefan, and since we haven't talked about him so much, that means he's been just sitting back there, legging back there and biding time.
Yeah, Rob Fierce and Fred Desai, who we see right now being overtaken by White Gooden here for P4, sorry.
Yeah, and speaking of overtaken, Euro Numb just made a big pass on a day Coba Lopez to retake that spot, and I think that will be for second once everything flushes out here. So I think what had happened was that Euro or a day got around. Oh, is that Euro in the wall? Euro is in the wall. In the wall hard.
In the wall.
It looked like Ian Wilson had trouble there getting through the chicane, and Euro wasn't able to miss him.
Yeah, it's right that with the Spec Racer Ford, you can't really slam the brakes and hope for the best in this car, as it will spin out. So he just tried and hoped for the best there, and yeah, it did really happen.
With the damage, the suspension damage, he did lose it into turn one. Again, he has taken the toe, and with his fast repair already used up, Euro Numb may be done here for the day. So heading back up front, we'll go up to Jonathan Madden, Euronum's teammate. Now those hopes rest with him, and having himself a good run now that he is up front and still clicking off those laps. I think right now he's just kind of made his bet. He's going to go ahead and ride that car, and not until it runs out of gas, and then maybe make a stop. But he's still putting down pretty respectable lap times out there, Stefan.
Yes, birds fly in a flock, so one bird out, we still got one bird up there. And Jonathan Madden, he's doing all the right things right now, but we will have to see how this will play out against Whitegood. Remember, at the pit stop time of White, he was about 6 seconds back on him, so we will have to wait and see how this plays out for both of them.
Looking at Desai making his way down. He's in 7th position currently. So this should be his scheduled stop.
And let's see with who he will be fighting once he comes out, as he pulls off his pit spot, and I think it will be somewhere around Donald Fitterer and Chris Murakami, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you are correct. There is Steven Elson is the car behind him, and he comes out right behind Daniel Sadro. So that will put him back in 11th position, I think, once everything cycles out, and trying to get around lap traffic now. That's Jeffrey Hornack that they're trying to get around here. But battle now is on for 10th position here.
The battle really is on here, and yeah, we're starting to see quite some lap traffic. We have already only 22 cars remain on the lead lap here of, I have to remember you, 50 cars.
Seeing some smoke on the front straightaway, trying to see if that was anything of significance here. Don't think so. I think we're good. So Euronum has officially decided to call it a day. All right, so we got a new front runner here as far as, I think, the biggest mover award, and that's going to be Emerton. Luis Emerton is up to 8th position, and the guy still a little bit of his pit cycle stuff to start out there, but he started in 41st, so he's been able to pick his way through some of the carnage that's happened and been able to pick up quite a few spots. And I don't think he'll drop down that much once he does make his stop here, Stefan, is starting to see, I think we're getting ready to cross the point where more guys have made their stop as opposed to the guys that haven't.
Yeah, pretty much we're about halfway through the pit cycle, if I have my numbers correct here. Luis Emerton, I'm expecting him to come out once he does his pit stop about 15th there or thereabout. That would be Carter Conninger, Nielsen, Kowski that he would be fighting about. But yeah, Luis Emerton obviously benefiting from the pit cycle and the wrecks around him, but still, very good race to Luis. And he's just here for the fun. I've talked to him before this race. He's just here for the fun, and man, does it pay off for him right now.
And that's what this is supposed to be about. Week 13, we're sitting at the vRunoffs, a tradition of Week 13 that the Weekend Warriors put on, and we broadcast here on GSRC and, of course, the iRacing Esports Network now. So these guys, if this is the type of racing you like with these big Spec Racer Ford grids, well, this is a series for you. Try to get on board with them maybe by the next time Week 13 rolls around here in about 3 months. So something to look forward to if you want to get out there and have a little fun with these guys. Is looking through the field, trying to find the next close battle. Looking here at, we're going to go up to Jonathan Madden, apparently. Jonathan has not made his stop yet. Waiting for him to eventually come down pit road, but he is still sitting in the lead.
There he comes.
Here he comes down pit road. Now, where is he going to come out? We're going to stick with him here for just a moment. If we're right, Wyatt Gooden should be able to get out in front of him by possibly a good margin.
I'm pretty sure this will be about Jonathan Madden versus Ade Cobal Lopez here, as Wyatt Gooden already in the last chicane here. Clears through turn 17 over the start finish line. He goes, Jonathan Madden still sitting in his pit box. Copa Lopez now over the over the start-finish line. And Jonathan Madden is still sitting. Now he goes.
Yeah, and Jonathan Madden did take his fast repair to repair some of that earlier damage. So, new fresh car for Jonathan Madden. As Ade Coba Lopez is going to get out well ahead of him. So, that is going to be your... actually, I don't think Lindoff has come in yet. So,
no, he has not.
Henrik Lindoff is now taking over the lead.
Lindoff in a wreck there with a back marker of Don Brooks in the infield.
And it looks like in that incident there, or maybe a separate incident. Oh, okay. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But right on board now with Henrik Lindoff. And see what happened.
You will be able to see now. There we go.
Yeah, still trying to see who that red and white car was.
That's Don Brooks. Right there, hit the back marker. Lindoff tried to go to the inside there. Don Brooks wanted to let him by on the left side. And yeah, in he goes. So that will hand over the lead to White Gooden.
Well, while that was happening, Desai ended up in the last chicane, ended up hitting one of the sausage curbs, lost it, put it into the wall, ended up rolling his own car. He has since come in pit road, taken his fast repair, and he is continuing on, but he was involved in a solo incident as well. All right, so with that, that's going to hand the lead now back to Wyatt Gooden, who has about a 3-second lead, close to 3-second lead now over top of Ade Coba Lopez. And then you have to go back another almost 5.5 seconds to find Jonathan Madden, and that's how your front three are separated right now. In fact, the closest battle, I think the closest battle in the entirety of the top 10 maybe, might be between Jonathan Madden and Henrik Lindoff, depending on what kind of car Lindoff has. In fact, I think he still might have to make his pit stop, or no, he has made his pit stop now, is about 0.7 of a second. So they're going to be the closest ones out.
Yeah, it's about the closest battle right now there between Rob Fierce and Donald Fitcherer and Alejandro Lero. They are nose to tail here in the infield right now. Oh, sorry, that's Mark Gehan between them. A lap car in position 29.
Well, out of 51 cars that started this race, I'm looking at things correctly. I think we still have about 40 or maybe 39 out there now. So still waiting for some of the recent retirees to filter down the results board, but attrition playing a role. We kind of figured that attrition might play a role here today, Stefan. So we're going to go back to P17, where we will find Lewis Emerton, Adam Bradshaw and Chris Mercami back there now, only separated by a couple of tenths of a second, nose to tail. Battle on the racetrack.
Oh, Ade Coba Lopez just hit the wall into turn 1 here. He was actually side by side with White Gooden. He really missed her something between White Gooden. Oh, White Gooden got held up there by Lewis Emerton, and then Coba Lopez tried to go around the outside of White Gooden. Bit too much speed there on the transition.
Hurt.
And yeah, really hitting the wall very badly there, as you can see now on your screens. And his car is hurt very badly, going on the apron round now.
Yeah, so Ade Coba Lopez on the apron, his day might be done. Gilles LeBlanc just had a massive accident too, also coming out of that chicane just a moment ago. But Ade Coba Lopez, your second place runner, at least at the time, now coming down pit road. I do not believe he's used his fast repair, so he should be able to use it here, maybe get back out there. Time was going to tell us second. We'll see if the fenders magically reappear on that 34 car. And it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. I think his day is going to be done. So, Ade Coba Lopez out of this race. Going up to Wyatt Gooden here. And now we're looking at about a 3-second gap between him and Jonathan Madden. So, well, now 3.8. Or actually, no, that gap continues to decrease. So we need to watch this. I don't think Wyatt Gooden seems to be as fast. I think maybe more than just being simply held up there, Stefan. I just don't think he's as fast as he was a little while ago.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks like something happened to Wyatt Gooden because he was racing quite normal, speed-wise.
Oh, we just had a big accident also involving the 13th position car, Steve Ray, who had himself a very good run, coming back onto the track. Ended up having the back end brake loose.
Let's see.
Trying to go take a look at the Steve Ray incident here.
Yeah, we need to go back here another 15 or so seconds until we can see him. His right. But yeah, once again, onto the banking of the oval as we catch the aftermath.
And the aftermath's important there, too, because you also had Richard Vale and James King. James King was running in 15th position. They all catch pieces of that accident. So you get ready to go into a spin cycle, upside down, right side up, earth, sky, earth, sky, earth, sky. And then Steve Ray, though, does come to rest on all wheels, and he does limp it around. But I think that's going to pretty much be the end of his day as well, possibly. So going back up to Wyatt Gooden now. Front of this thing, he's opening the gap back up to 3.6 seconds over top of Jonathan Madden. And then, by the way, go back to the 3rd position, the final spot on the podium. We have to go way back, another almost 30 seconds to find Rob Fears. We talked about Rob a little bit earlier about how he's been kind of quiet here today. So now that is paying off into a 3rd position here, a podium spot, if things were to conclude. And we are getting closer to the end of this race. We're only about 6 minutes left on the clock, which I think might get us maybe about another 3 or 4 laps here, maybe 4. Okay, so we're showing actually 5 laps to go. This is why I don't do math. So, but Dave Coba Lopez has, by the way, officially called it a day. So another retiree from the front runners. Going down to 21st position, big battle here. Got 4 cars there, trying to see if they're all 4 positioned or not. 21st being Claudio Ferrari, 22nd Francisco Bernardo. You got 20th is, excuse me here, Francois Van Dornveld, and then Steve Ray's up there.
They come together. Oh, and another hit there. That's Steve Ray right into the back of Ferrari.
Steve Ray wouldn't even be back there if it wasn't for his accident a minute ago, and he just took his fast repair, and now his front is squashed up again.
Sadly, no luck at all in this race so far for the host of this race, Steve Ray, but he is able to continue with quite some damage to his front, so that will hurt his straight line speed. But up ahead, Ross Nicholson just overtook Francesco Bernardo here for, that should be 18th?
And another vehicle that's also, had some damage and was limping around was Lewis Emerton, who has now had to come in from the 17th position with significant damage. So he is hurt. Not very many clean cars out there left, but there is one very clean car, and he is right now in the lead. That is Wyatt Gooden having himself a great day out there in that 17 car. Now 3.3 seconds over top of Jonathan Madden. That gap does continue to fluctuate just a little bit, but still holding up enough of a gap that I don't think Wyatt Gooden's worried about it. Hearing something with Rob Fears. It's just looking at Wyatt Gooden putting a wheel off. I don't think he's put off a wheel all day. And then Rob Fears now having a problem.
Out of turn 12, our very, very, very infamous chicane already here. Taking too much curb on the last turn here. Spinning it around and then also sadly hitting the wall very hard on the inside. Yeah, let's see if he's able to continue, as we now will see it on the replay here. There he hits the wall, and I can confirm he is in pit lane already.
So, there you go. This is assuming that he is able to bring it home the rest of the way. Wyatt Gooden should just be able to coast from here on out, as there should now be a 30-plus second gap between him and Henrik Lindhoff. Or, excuse me, why am I thinking Jonathan Madden? No, Jonathan Madden's still there, but going back 30 seconds or so to third position, and Henrik Lindhoff, that's actually about 34 seconds there, as Jonathan Madden is still very healthy and still very much in this race, 3.5 seconds behind near leader Wyatt Gooden. But going back to 20 seconds, back to that Claudio Ferrari and Francois Van Dornveld battle here. Going through that last chicane.
As Ross Nicholson ahead of them spun, both go past him. And that's not a victim for your chicane. We really need to get that chicane a name.
Yeah, or just have like a little board, like for like basketball dunks. You know, sometimes they keep it at arenas. Just flip the number tally up every time it claims a car. It has claimed a lot of cars here today, unfortunately, for a lot of guys, and that's definitely been the main trouble area. Is looking at Greg McCreevy. He was in 6th position. He has spun it around on the front straightaway. The last chicane before the front straightaway is what caught him out.
Cherry McCreevy, yeah, he hit the inside curb quite a lot, and then the outside curb even more, spinning him around because of that exact, I don't want to take curbs, but you make me force them, so I will spin out on you. As we go now into replay, there you can see inside curb, outside curb, and around she goes.
And we're heading up to Wyatt Gooden now to take a look at him. The Texas driver has led lot of time here today. We is looking to get the white flag here this time by. One of the very few clean cars still out on this racetrack. You know, Stefan, he's drove himself a heck of a race here today. Been able to avoid the trouble, and now looks like as long as he can get through the last lap and a half here just fine, he's going to come home with the win here today.
He just has a few corners and a lap to go, if I see this correctly. So yeah, if he just stays out of troubles, it will be his race to win.
Rounding now through NASCAR 3 and 4. He still has to deal with, the chicanes. He's still got to deal with this last one here once more after this one. So has to do the backstretch chicane. So obviously, as we've seen, not trouble-free all the way through as far as everything else, but still got to keep an eye on our leader. So Wyatt Gooden now is out there. White flag is now out. We're going to go and go back to Jason Perry here real quick. He's fighting Rob Fears. Rob Fears trying to recover after having his problem out of 3rd position a little while ago. Spider-Man doing his best to cast a web to keep him behind him. I don't know necessarily that's going to happen. He was able to shut the door on him there. Get ready to come back out onto the oval portion of the racetrack. See if you guys have trouble with this transition. They're both going to get by here just fine. Make that long march going down to the front straightaway.
And this is...
So we're looking at Wyatt Gooden now. He is coming up on a little bit of traffic here. He's going to have to navigate his way through a lot of traffic. They're all giving him plenty of room, but he is going to have to split and dice him here. They're heading out of NASCAR 2, heading toward that back straightaway chicane. He's going to hit his marks here just fine, it looks like. And he is clear of that through NASCAR 3, heading into NASCAR 4. The last chicane, and he will hit that last chicane. So far, looks like his marks are good. Short run to the start-finish line from here. Wyatt Gooden is going to win the vRunoffs race here at the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Going back to P8, where it's next battle on the racetrack. Jason Perry doing his best right now to hold off Rob Fears. If you just joining us right at the tail end of this race, Rob Veers was in third, had a little bit of a problem. He's trying to recover from that and try to get one more spot out of that. But they've got a little bit of traffic themselves they're going to have to fight through here. See if maybe he's going to be able to use that draft. They're heading back up onto the racetrack now. Heading into NASCAR. This is going to be NASCAR 1 and NASCAR 2. He falls off of Jason Perry quite a bit here. Not in the draft. I think he might... Oh, I'm hearing his car sputter. He's out of gas. Rob Veers is out of gas. That is going to give Jason Perry that position so we can get through the next position.
Not only that, but it also gave the position to Daniel Sadro. So move him up into your 9th place position.
Alrighty. Well, with that, here on the iRacing Esports Network at GSRC, we're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll talk to your winner and we'll run through the final order. Well, that was a very eventful first vRunoffs at the new Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway here on the iRacing Esports Network and GSRC. And, well, at the end of the day, Wyatt Gooden is the one that came out on top, running in P1. In the rest of the podium is going to be second, Jonathan Madden. In third, Henrik Lindoff. That is a very significant podium, and a number of those spots changed hands quite a bit here for today. And Alejandro Liro comes home in fourth. Donald Federer in 5th position. 6th is going to go to Neil Sinkowski. 7th, Jerry McCreevy overcoming his late race spin. Jason Perry in 8th. Daniel Sadro in 9th position. And Steven Elson in 10th.
Rob Fierce landing in 11th place, being able to carry his car over the start-finish line. He is also your last car on the lead lap. Carter Conninger, first car 1 lap down in 12th. Chris Murakami, James King, Jeff Canner, your top 15. Lewis Emerton 16th. Francesco Bernardo in 17th. Samuel Ryman, GSRC's own Samuel Ryman in 18th. Claudia Ferrari 19th. Adam Bradshaw 20th.
Alrighty, now moving on to 21st position, we're going to find Steve Ray. Steve had himself a little bit of a problem, was able to overcome it and still almost get back into the top 20. Ross Nicholson in 27th, Mark Gahan in 23rd, 24th is Francois Van Doorbelt in 25th, Brendan Cleveland. Hey, Brendan, I noticed Brendan didn't have any incidents out there here today, which is pretty remarkable considering what was going on. 26th, Ian Wilson, 27th, Paul Gooden, and 28th is going to be Manning Grinnan. 29th, Edgar Sancinelli. Edgar, no, this wasn't the pace car this time for the Absolute Beginners League or anything like that. So Edgar able to bring it on home in 29th. 30th is Joe Smets is out there. And in 31st, go ahead and take it away, Stefan.
Mats Joblum is your 31st finisher. Richard Valley in 32nd. Jeffrey Hornyak in 33rd. Ade Coba Lopez is already your first car not being able to finish this race in 34th out of 50 cars here. Fred Desai 35th, Gilles Leblanc 36th, Jens Nordström 37th, Wayne Palmer 38th, Nuno Fred Nunes in 39th, and Tom Brooks your 40th finisher.
All right, 41st position goes to Euro Num. Just the bad luck that struck Euro today. Miroslav in 42nd, 43rd, Preston Pardis, Neil Kemp in 44th, Clark Williams in 45th, Andres Bertoni in 46th, Raul Alves in 47th, Alan Chapman in 48th, Kane Halliburton in 49th, Antonio Reese in 50th, and to round out the field here for today in 51st ended up being Michael Shaw. So a very, very eventful day on the racetrack here at the Roval, and a guy that had a bird's eye view of a lot of it was your second place finisher, Jonathan Madden. John, okay, first of all, what are your first impressions about the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway in this car?
Oh my God. Yeah, the first impressions are it is very, very sketchy, as I'm sure you saw on the broadcast. The layout is great and fine. This car is just super low to the ground. And all the transitions on the pavement, all the curbs, decreasing radius corners, there's a whole litany of things that can jump out and bite you, and they did, it looks like, to many people.
Well, we did see you at one point trying to get back to your teammate Euro Num, and of course we saw what happened with him. But you were able to, for the most part, I think you had a little bit of a problem right at the beginning of the race, but outside of that, pretty uneventful for you. At least, you know, from our standpoint, was it eventful in the driver's seat, though?
Yeah, as far as the race went, yeah, I made a mistake at the beginning. I ended up in neutral and lost a bunch of time, and then tried to make it up and lost even more time. So yeah, I was out there by myself, and I saw people dropping like flies. Arrow had some problems. I saw Koba have some problems. So, but yeah, out on the track, it was just, you know, managing the lap traffic and you know, trying to keep an idea of where Wyatt was and all that sort of stuff.
All right. Well, hey, John, congratulations on a second place finish here for today at the vRunoffs, and I guess we'll be seeing you around.
Thanks a lot, guys. Talk to you soon.
All right, Jonathan Madden, second place finisher here today, and if I could talk, that would be great. But since I can't, I'll pass it off to Stefan, who's got Alejandro.
Yes, I'm here with Alejandro Liero, your fourth place finisher in this crazy race. Alejandro, if I remember correctly, my rundown here, you didn't have all that much of an eventful race. Is that right?
Yep, that's correct. I was hoping to have a very good race with Donald at some point there. I was running 7th and 6th at some point, but then I caught the chicane bit me. Then I took that chance to get into the pits. and then I couldn't. Well, I tried to recover as much as possible, so I guess I profited from some of the guys that had accidents. In the end, I think it was good.
Yeah, this layout did show a bit the teeth right now, especially with this car. How did it feel to you, obviously being the first time you're driving this layout?
Surprisingly good. I don't know. I was in practice. First time I got into practice, I was just losing it every time, every turn. And plus, I mean, I haven't driven this car all season since 4 or 5 months ago. But then yesterday at some point it started to click. I started to get the line right, and I started to get the bumps right. Then it worked.
Yeah, even though it's the same layout, it's still like day and night. Speaking of day and night, it got quite dark here with Overcast. Were you able to see still everything that you needed to see?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question.
With day-night transition, did you see everything you needed to see? Because it was getting quite dark outside.
I was getting worried in the practice and qualifying, but then when the race came, I didn't care about it anymore. I was just more worried about my mirrors and the relative.
Well, that's Alejandro Liero, your 4th place finisher right there, finishing with his eyes more on his mirrors than on the track ahead. But yeah, Adam, since we both can't speak, I'm going to give it back to you and Wyatt Gooden.
All right. Well, hey, we got Wyatt here winning today, the vRunoffs at the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Wyatt, hey, fantastic race, leading with the exception of the pit stops, almost flag to flag, able to avoid the chaos that was going on behind you. What was your impression about the Spec Racer Ford here at Roval?
Hey, yeah, first of all, that was like definitely not an easy race. That was incredibly difficult with that chicane. Just kind of lucked out, I feel like. I feel like I had maybe the least amount of incidents. It certainly wasn't a perfect race, and in fact, I even hit the wall in one of the laps, but it just happened to be right before the pit entrance. I kind of lucked out there. It's just a real shame that Coba Lopez, he got into the wall there. We would have had a really good race there at the end, I think, and man, it was tough. It was tough getting used to the car again, but it was really fun. Great race.
Well, of course, we've got new seasons and everything else here starting up, and what I got to ask, like with all the big changes and everything we've seen here with iRacing, we know you're very big in the iRacing community. What is the biggest change that's happened to iRacing here the last few weeks that you're most looking forward to carrying on into 2019?
Well, the thing with iRacing, I mean, I've been on it for, I guess, 10 years now, which is crazy and makes me feel really old. But it's just been a constant evolution, which is still surprising. It's just getting better and better. It seems like every new build, we make a little bit of progress in the, realism and physics and, adding more variables that you would experience in a real car and things like that. And it just gets more realistic, and no exception with the weather, the day to night, and the way the track conditions are changing throughout the race and during a session. It just gives you something else or another thing to sort of think about and plan for and strategize for, which makes it more realistic overall, which is making it more fun.
Hey, congratulations again on the race win today, and we will talk to you again soon, I'm sure.
Thank you, and congrats to everyone on finishing that race, because that was a incredibly challenging race. And thanks to Steve for putting it on. I've been running this race for years, and I always would make some mistakes, so this one felt good. Thank you, guys.
All right, that was Wyatt Gooden there, and I believe Stefan's going to catch up with Steve Ray.
Yes, we're here with Steve Ray, the host of this race. He had quite an uneventful race after an early spin at turn 1. Talk us through your first half of the race, Steve. How did it feel to you, especially on this new Roval?
Yeah, it was pretty challenging. I knew it was going to be attrition, and I just wanted to keep it clean and survive and end up seeing the checkered. And made a mistake there early on and spun, and another one got in the middle of everybody, so I appreciate nobody hitting me. But it was a lot of fun. It was definitely a challenge.
It was a challenge, and it really showed us only 33 cars finished today's race out of 50 taking the green flag. Now, if you remember right, especially in your second half, now going over to that, you had first roll, and then you kind of somewhat got collected into an incident that you came up to. How did that second part of this race feel to you, especially after some attrition was happening?
Yeah, it was just maintaining the same, and like you said, I collected somebody that spun, couldn't help it. I figured that's what was going to happen with a little bit of everybody out there. It was no different, and just trying to get through to the end then, because I had some aero damage up front. But I was far enough back, and I was hoping to survive and get a top 10 at first, and then reevaluate it. Well, maybe a top 20 will work, and almost did that. But my main thing, I wanted to come in and thank everybody for showing up and doing this season after season. They make it a really great, fun event. Big thanks to Paul with Sim Stickers for sponsoring the this past season with Weekend Warriors, and this is just a kind of celebration of the season that we had with Weekend Warriors, and some great stuff coming down the pike.
Well, as you said, this is for celebration, and what a celebration race it was. That was Steve Ray right here, your 21st fin.
Hi, Stefan. Can I just add something?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, we just set up a new sponsor for next season with the Weekend Warriors for the whole season. It's going to be Southeast Spec Racer, which is one of the real-world Spec Racer teams that provide cars for rentals and services and everything. I've been working pretty hard lately to try to connect the real-world Spec Racer community with our virtual community, and it's finally coming to pass that the Southeast Spec Racer is going to be on board and sponsor our season next season, and get some of the real-world guys to join us, and it's an exciting thing coming down the pike.
Well, there we go, new sponsor for our Weekend Warriors, Southeast Spec Racers. So also a big thank you then to them for making this happen for the next season. But yeah, once again, this was Steve Ray, your 21st finisher and host of a glorious Gross event once again. But we have one more, and Adam is going to talk with him.
Yeah, Henrik Lindoff here, and hey, Henrik, great race here for you today. You survived the Roval. Yeah. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I survived all the chaos. Oh my god, that was chaos. But yeah, I didn't expect getting in third place from the start there. Pretty amazing.
Well, tell us a little bit about what it was like behind the driver's seat. I mean, we're hearing lots about the last chicane, and we saw lots about the last chicane. Did you have any heart attack moments there?
No, actually not. I had one going on to the banking instead, which usually is not where you spin around, but I had one there. It wasn't too bad, didn't damage the car or so, and then I had some problems with one of the traffic, one of the cars I had, I accidentally spun him around, but other than that, it was pretty clean through, and we went with a bit of longer strategy, paid out pretty well. I had some good pace all around, so that was nice.
All right. Well, hey, Henrik, we'll be seeing more of you, I'm sure, and you try to have yourself a good rest of your night.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, so that was Henrik Lindoff, and we're going to go ahead and close up shop here today. I want to thank everybody that provides the software and hardware for our broadcast listed there on your screen. Additional thanks to Eric Echolm and June Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of each of them. Thanks to the team today for Stefan, Sean, and Dougie out there working those cameras. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, or you can check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global SimRacing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_brand. Don't forget to head on over to our YouTube page and hit that subscribe button. Now, Weekend Warriors are going to be coming up here for another season on GSRC. Check out the schedule for that. We'll have other schedules, seasons, and races coming across on your screen now. So until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.